Hello guys, my name is Spyros, and in this video series we're going to talk about the Mediator Nugget package, and we're going to see all of its features, since it's more than just a mediator. But today we're going to talk how it implements just a mediator. And all that will make sense in a bit. Let me show you what I have here. I have a Heroes API, in which I have a Heroes controller with 3 endpoints, one for creating a hero, one for getting a hero by its ID, and one for deleting a hero. My hero entity is just a simple entity which has a GUID and a name. And in the Heroes controller, as you can see, I inject a hero service, and in my hero service I inject a hero repository, and in here I handle the creation of a hero, the deletion of a hero, and the retrieval of a hero by its ID. And in my program.cs I register my hero repository and my hero service. So let's see what Mediator helps us to achieve. Let me open my whiteboard, and let's say that we have an API controller in here. It could be anything else that depends on a service A and the service B. So we inject those two services in that API controller, and we call them in different methods. Now, by adding Mediator, we have less coupling, because we remove from that API controller the dependency from service A and service B, and now our API controller depends only on the mediator. So it doesn't know anything about service A, service B, it depends only on mediator. One other thing that the mediator helps us to achieve is the CQRS or else command query responsibility segregation. That dictates that we should handle in different places the commands and the queries. Now, when we are talking about commands, we refer to something that mutates state in our system, such as something that creates something that updates something, and something that deletes something. And the query is just querying for data. We doesn't change anything in our system. We just querying some data and return them back. So let me briefly mention the CQS pattern, which stands for command query separation, which often confused as the same as the CQRS, but they are not the same. Although the CQS also dictates that command and query should be handled differently, it also dictates that something that handles a command cannot return anything, so it will be in our C# code a void or a task, so it has a more strict definition. Okay, so let's see how we can achieve all that in our code. I will open Rider again, and first of all I'm going to add the Mediator Nugget package. So I'm going to go to my Nugget packages, and I'm going to search for Mediator. I will install it. Now, as you can see in here, there is an old mediator.extensions.microsoft.dependency injection nugget package, and as you can see, it's marked as deprecated, because now in the main package there is all that we need for registering Mediator. First of all, let's register Mediator. So I'm going to say builder.services.add Mediator. And as you can see, and that comes from the Mediator package that we just installed. And in here we need to pass a configuration action. So I'm going to see a configuration, and all I'm going to say is configuration.register services from assembly. And in here I will pass the executing assembly. So I will say assembly.getExecuting assembly. There is other things that you can configure in here. For example, the lifetime of the mediator by default is transient. We will see some other configurations in the next videos. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call that queries, and in here I will have a new get hero by ID query. Okay, let's say that that's a record. It can be in class as well, and we will have the ID of the hero. Okay, so now that query needs to implement the I request, and that comes from Mediator. and I will also need that to be an iRequest of the return type. So our return type, if we go back to our hero service, it's a nullable hero. So I will say that get hero by ID query, it's an iRequest of a nullable hero. Okay, so now we have our request. We need something to handle that request. So I'm going to create a new class, and I'm going to call that get hero by ID query handler. And that handler needs to implement the iRequest handler of the query. So get hero by ID query, and the return type, so a nullable hero. And as you can see now, it prompts me to implement the missing members. So in here I have the handle method, which has access to the request, and in here we can handle that request. So I'm going to inject my hero repository. So I'm going to say private read only heroes repository. So heroes repository, and I'm going to initialize that through the constructor, since we have a dependency injection inside our handler. And here all I'm going to say is heroes repository dot get by ID async. I will pass the ID of the request, and I will return that. Okay, now I'm going to create a new folder. I will call that commands, and in here I will create a new class, and I will call that create hero command. And let's make that a record as well. And all I need for the creation of a hero is a name, so string name, and that will be an iRequest of a hero, since we will return the hero back. And again, as previously, I'm going to create a new class. I will call that create hero command handler, and that will be an iRequest handler of create hero command and hero. And now I will implement the handle method. So I will make it async. I will inject my hero repository. So I will say private read only heroes repository. I will initialize that to the constructor, and in here I will create a new hero based on the name of the request. So I will say var hero equals with new hero, and I will pass the name of the request. Now I will add that to my DB using the heroes repository dot create async method, and I need to await that, and finally I will return back the hero. Okay, so now you might ask, does every command has to return something? Can I handle a command without returning something? And you can. So I will create now the delete hero command. That will be a record as well, and I will have the ID, and that will be an iRequest. So it will not be an iRequest of some type, it's just an iRequest. So I can go and say public class delete hero handler, and let's say that command handler, and that would be an iRequest handler of the delete hero command. Let me fix that typo. And now I will implement the handle method. So I will make it async. I will inject my repository. So private read only heroes repository. I will initialize it through the constructor, and I'm going to say await heroes repository dot delete async, and I will pass the ID of the request, and I don't need to return anything. So back to our heroes controller, I will remove that hero service, and instead I'm going to eject Mediator. So I'm going to say private read only I Mediator, and maybe you have seen injected an iSender. We will talk about what that is and the difference between the iMediator interface in future videos. But for now, let's inject Mediator. And now for the creation, I'm going to say that hero, instead of using the hero service, I'm going to say is that hero is await mediator dot send, and in here I want to send the create hero command. So I will say new create hero command, and I will pass the request.name. And that was it. I'm going to do the same for my other two endpoints. So instead of using the hero service in here, I will use the mediator. So I will say mediator.send new get by ID query, get hero by ID query, and I will pass the ID. And finally, for deleting, I will say mediator.send, and I will pass a new delete hero command with the ID. So now our API controller doesn't know anything about hero service or who's responsible to handle that request that we're sending. It only depends on Mediator, and then Mediator will pass its request to its handler. And not only we have separated our reads and our writes, but for each action we have a different class, which is also can be a good thing, since in each handler we inject only what we need instead of other things that may be needed for other methods. So let's debug that to see that everything works. And for the creation, let's put in the breakpoint here. So I'm going to send a create request. I will create Spider-Man. I will hit send, and we hit our breakpoint. So the mediator send that request to the right handler. So I will hit continue, and now I have a 201 created. And if I copy that ID and try to get back that hero by that ID, I will get back Spider-Man. And if I try to delete that, I will have no content, and if I try to get that again, I will get a not found. So that's the most common use of Mediator. There are a lot of other things to explore, and we will do that in the next videos. If you like that one, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and have a nice one.